Hey everybody, this is Jean, the creator of the ADHD Revolution group, and I'm really excited to be talking to my friend Nasanka today about narcissism. So let me tell you that I met Nasanka. We've been connected for a while, haven't we, Nasanka? And we met when I was coaching. I was doing my coaching training, and I was looking for trainee coaches to support me during my studies. And you volunteered, you put your hand up, and I was so pleased. And we had a great time, and I was really appreciative of your support during that period. And so we've remained in contact ever since then, haven't we?
We did. We did keep in touch, and it was very helpful at the time. Actually, this is when, just before I made the decision to separate from my ex-husband. So you came in handy at the time. You didn't know it at the time, but you came in handy.
Oh, well, I'm pleased that I knew that I was able to help you, but I didn't know how much at that time.
Yeah, no.
But we remained in contact, and I've been watching you ever since. And you are now a life coach as well. And this is probably a great time for you to share a bit about what you're doing in terms of coaching.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for having me on this podcast show, whatever you'd like to call it, live. It's a great opportunity. I've actually been really looking forward to talk on your platform, and I think what we're going to talk today is really, really important to anybody in this platform following you. What I do, so I'm a life coach. I'm trained in NLP, and I'm also a holistic therapist. So I'm an advanced EFT practitioner and a matrix practitioner, and I did 20 years of teaching, so I've got a fair bit of experience working with parents and children. And what I do right now is helping parents who co-parent with narcissistic partners or ex-partners. So this could be you're actually under the same roof raising the children together because you've decided to remain in the relationship despite your circumstances. Sometimes that's just got to be the way, and it's a choice, is individual, and you may have left, but you're co-parenting. This could be you're still going through court proceedings. You might have got the court order for 50-50 or any other, whatever the circumstances are. Or this might also be when the narcissistic parent is not involved at all, but they kind of show up and then go off again, or throw it out again. They show up and then all throw it out again. The behavior of the narcissistic people is just so individual. It's so unique to your circumstances. So whatever the circumstances, I'm here to help you maintain your sanity and then help the children as well. The thing is, whatever our circumstances are, there is also a certain responsibility when it comes to parenting, and we can't just let go of that rein. So it's parenting with a narcissist or co-parenting with a narcissistic partner or ex is like parenting whilst carrying an elephant on your back.
Wow, that's an interesting analogy. We're going to come back to that. Hold that thought for a moment, because we're going to come back to that, because I really want us to understand what narcissism is in a minute. But I want to just take you back a moment to coaching. And what was it that sparked your interest in coaching?
Okay, good question. I don't have a very simple answer, I'm afraid. I'm going to have to go into a couple of minutes details to that. So back in 2017, I was diagnosed with severe depression and generalized anxiety disorder with suicidal thoughts. And I'd obviously hit the rock bottom, and I was on antidepressants at the time. I was done with teaching or anything to do with the teaching at the time. I just didn't know what else to do. I was kind of taking certain therapies like CBT, counseling, which kind of helped me sort of become aware of what was going on with me, not fully, but certain awareness. And then I was looking for things to do, and I wanted to do something really meaningful with my life, because I was kind of becoming aware that my life wasn't really meaningful. So I just typed into Google meaningful jobs to do, life coaching. Life
Life
coaching.
coaching.
Life coaching came up on the screen, and I was really intrigued. And then coaching academy. I think everything kind of line up sometimes when you
Yeah,
decide, and when you send that message to the universe, everything
yeah,
lines up. And
absolutely.
the coaching academy at the time was offering that 2-day
Yeah,
weekend training,
that's right.
and I was home. I was like, oh, I'm going to go and try it out, and I never looked back. And it just really helped me in a way that CBT or counseling didn't help. And I'm not saying it helped me recover from the trauma. That's a different story. That's how I got into holistic therapy.
Yeah.
But it really helped me get a grips of what I might want to do. So kind of rebuild my life, and I've never looked back ever since.
That's fantastic. And I agree with you. That's exactly how I found it as well.
Yeah,
It's an amazing journey, isn't it? It's
it
fantastic.
is.
So thank you for sharing that with us. But now I want to get into narcissism, and really for the people that are watching this to understand what narcissism is. Can you help us?
Yeah, of course. Narcissism is, so there's the narcissistic personality disorder,
Yeah.
which is a diagnosable disorder. But according to Dr. Ramani, who is actually a pioneer in the field, she doesn't necessarily believe that narcissistic there is anything called a narcissistic personality disorder. And I agree with her, I think, because in terms of how you can measure this personality disorder, narcissistic people very rarely go and have them measured in
Right.
these circumstances. So where do you get these information data from or research from to draw conclusions that these people have narcissistic personality disorder? It's a hit and miss. I think that's why she thinks it's not a personality disorder, but it's a character trait. It's a
Right.
behavioral character trait,
Yeah.
which is a link to self-esteem. So in essence, narcissistic people are chronically insecure. They have no self-esteem. And this obviously then manifests in different behaviors that if you're living with somebody like that can cause severe trauma, and it is abusive behavior as well. So in a way that their behavior is a choice. They know what they're doing, because a simple way to describe a narcissist is to say they are street angels and home devils.
Oh,
Yeah, street
angels.
angels and home devils, because this is why that their behavior is a choice. They have this show to the rest of the world as this more amazing, well put together, knowledgeable, kind, empathetic person, but they just don't have that at home.
Right.
That's not how they behave at home, especially in intimate relationships, whether it's a parent, whether it's an intimate partner, whether it's a boss at work, whether it's a close friend.
Right.
That's just not how they behave. So there are so many character traits,
Yeah.
but I can list out a few things that might be really important.
Yeah, that would be useful.
Number one is lack of empathy. So they may show that they have empathy. It's more of a performatory cognitive empathy. It's like, oh, I know. Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry for what you... They can do that.
Yeah.
But they actually don't have it.
Right.
They don't feel sorry for that person. They don't understand what the other person is going through. So if you're in an intimate relationship, and one of the example would be, if you're in an intimate relationship, say for example somebody died in your family, and you're really struggling. This is not close, but distant relative died, and you're really close to this person, so you're struggling.
Yeah.
They might be like, oh, I'm so sorry, for an hour or two. Next minute, you need to get over it now. They're not even close to you anymore. What's wrong with you? The family have got on. You're the only one who's... You see the switch in the behavior?
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's lack of empathy.
Okay.
And grandiose. They're like, oh my God, they're better than everybody else, but they don't have anything to go with it. So,
Right.
or some people might do, some people might do,
Mm.
some people might be extremely successful financially, but
Mm.
in terms of a personality wise, there is no depth to them.
Mm.
You know, and they're so entitled. They're the ones who need to be put on the on in a line first. If they have to wait in a line, they get so frustrated and angry. You know,
Mm.
they need to be served first in a restaurant. If they like the waiter is 2 minutes late, then they're like, "Where's my food?" You know, that type of entitlement. So
Mm.
if you think about a partner or a parent at home, a parent, you know, you've probably heard these type of parents, you know, I mean, especially in our generation, you know, if I call the sun the moon, you will call it the moon type of parents, you know.
Right.
My dad always used to say that.
Ah, okay.
You know, it's that level of
Yeah.
entitlement. You
Yeah.
know, you serve me food because I'm the head of the family, you know, sort of
Yeah.
entitlement. These people are also very manipulative. So
Hmm.
they'll use anything to manipulate you. They'll use knowledge about you, your vulnerabilities, your weak points, the secrets that you have shared, the deepest things that you have shared, intimate information you have shared. So they'll use all that information
Yeah.
against you to manipulate you. So,
Okay.
um, for example, or they will use their own story to manipulate you, to you as well. So it's
Mm.
like, oh, I had such a hard time growing up. My parents were this, that, and the other to me.
Hmm.
This is why I'm so rude to you sometimes. It's just not me, it's my childhood. You know, it's a
Yeah.
very manipulative. So there is no acknowledgement of or responsibility. They don't take any responsibility for their any behavior, for any of their behavior.
Mm.
And they're also rageful, angry. They don't get what they want when they want it and how they want it. You
Mm.
will just see their rage. You
Mm.
know, it can be passive aggression, you know,
Yeah.
where they go off contact, I'm not talking to you anymore. Very much like a toddler.
Yeah.
You know, that face, very much
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Or somebody like a malignant narcissist will go on full range rage, beating, and you know, there's this of physical violence as well.
Yeah.
So that's rage. And
Thank
they're paranoid, they're hypersensitive, they're jealous, there's no guilt in them, they
you.
lie, they cheat, you know, everything has to be a show, greedy, emotionally cold, you know,
Wow.
gaslighting as well. So there is your reality will never be accepted. If you say you're sad, they'll make you feel like you're being difficult or you're being just this drama queen for being having emotions. So it
Yeah.
makes you feel like you're losing your mind.
Yeah.
You cheap, vain. It's just a really long list of those things that
That's,
goes on. There's about 20, 25 of them, you know,
wow.
careless, that's seductive as well. The thing
Mm.
is, in our society, we have this habit, you know, the beast becoming this beautiful prince, and you
Mm.
know, the all the fairy tales are like Prince Charming. They're all seductive. I mean, if you watch, you know, Disney movies, you can see,
Yeah.
you know, Prince Charming, it comes along with his hair flicking across, you know,
Yeah.
and it's just we're so conditioned to accept the seductive behavior from, you know, especially males.
Yeah.
And it is part of the evolution as well. Obviously male have to be seductive to get the attention of the female,
Yeah.
but in this case, in narcissism, they're extremely seductive. So they're very flirtatious,
Hmm.
you know. They'll just praise you, they'll flatter you, things like, I've never seen anybody like you before, you know, that
Mm.
level. Within 2 minutes they'll be like, I've never met anybody like you before. It's like, you've
Yeah.
known me for 2 minutes, you know.
They're
So that
reeling
level
you
of
in.
seduction.
Yeah.
So
So thank you. That's really useful to understand that there are so many traits.
yeah.
And is it a what's the word? Can somebody have some of those traits and still be a narcissist? Or is it they're all in?
No, I think it doesn't. There's obviously different types of narcissist.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's a very long discussion. We might have to get another
Yeah.
discussion in
We
for
won't go
that.
into all of it now, but there are
Yeah,
different types.
exactly. But
Yeah.
there's about 7 different types of narcissists. So
Okay.
grandiose, malignant, and vulnerable. So there's different types of narcissists like that.
Right.
The certain traits are in more prominent in one
No.
than
Right.
the other. So, for
Right.
example, grandiose narcissists are the ones who cheat, are tend to cheat.
Yeah.
They're the ones who tend to be very seductive. They're the ones who tend to be rageful. They're the ones who tend to be very entitled. Whereas the vulnerable one
Hmm.
are the ones like, oh, poor me, oh, everybody's against me, and everybody's trying to get me. So there's different things fit into different things, different,
That's useful.
but there's yeah, I mean, it kind of overlaps as well.
Yeah.
I think the main thing you should be looking out for is lack of empathy and
Yeah.
entitlement and conflict driven personalities and vindictiveness. So
Mm.
those are things are very common in pretty
Right.
much all of them.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for that. So let's think now, is there a link between narcissism and ADHD?
I don't know if there's a link.
Mm-hmm.
You will see certain behaviors manifesting.
Mm.
So here's the thing to understand the I'll take you through actually a chart in a second, so
Yeah.
you will see how these things come across so similarly. But before that, I want to tell you, narcissistic people can also be diagnosed with ADHD, and the other way
Okay.
around. So the people with ADHD can also be diagnosed or have narcissistic qualities and
Right.
character traits. This can be a really difficult combination if you're
Right.
living with a partner like this,
Yeah.
because ADHD is obviously a condition,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a diagnosable condition. There
Mm-hmm.
are obviously common traits in trauma and how that manifests as well. But at least they can take some responsibility, and they will take some responsibility
Yeah.
when they're in that circumstances, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the narcissistic person, they
Yeah.
will not
They will
take
not.
any responsibility. It'll be, you're accusing me, you're making me feel I have ADHD, I can't even work. Why are you telling me? Why are you treating me like that? So
Right.
this can be a really difficult situation to work with,
Okay.
whether you're at work or whether you're living with a partner or whether
Mm.
that's a parent, of a child. Incredibly difficult. So I'll just take you through something. So ADHD, I mean,
Mhm.
correct me, you're the ADHD expert.
Okay.
Correct me. So they
Mm-hmm.
find people with ADHD find it difficult to focus, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But narcissistic people, they're contemptuous. They will not focus. That's
Right.
intentional. They don't care, so they don't want to pay attention to you. So it's more like, oh, oh, say that again, that very eye rolling, very disrespectful body language. So pay
Right.
attention to that body language.
So they're choosing not to pay attention rather
They're
than
choosing
being
not to pay
unable
attention.
to. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But person with narcissism as well as ADHD, it is a condition as well as a choice.
Oh, that's an
Right.
interesting. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So, and another thing is like the people with ADHD may have
Mm.
difficulty tuning into others and
Yeah.
understanding others, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whereas the narcissistic people think other people are the problem. So it's like, I forgot this because you made me forget it. I screamed at you because you made me.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot that appointment because you didn't remind me.
Right. So
That.
that's about blaming others.
Oh
Everybody
yeah, yeah,
else.
blame
It's
shifting,
not
blame
their
shifting.
fault.
Never take any accountability at all. Another thing is like people with the ADHD, they can be really enthusiastic about somebody whom they've just met,
Yeah.
new people. And
Yeah.
it's genuine, but they
Yeah.
can be really excited.
Yeah.
Um, but people with narcissism,
Mm.
narcissistic people, they intentionally love bomb. So love bombing is telling things like, oh, I love you so much, I've never met anybody like me before, I don't think I can live without you. But these are all very, very intentional behaviors. So like gift giving, grandiosity, like amazing dates, like out of the world experience, which
Yeah.
is how most of us end up getting trapped in these things, because we like
Yeah.
the attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what they're doing is they're paying very close, careful attention to you. So
Mhm.
they're learning about your vulnerabilities, they're learning about your weaknesses, and they're getting information. They're gathering data about you, and they use it
Okay.
later to control you and gaslight you
Wow.
and belittle you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very intentional behavior. Another thing I came across is the people with the ADHD may be habitually late. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
they have difficulty in organizing themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas narcissistic people, they're intentionally late. They just don't care.
Mm.
They might be late for dinner at home because they were flirting with people at office, because they
Okay.
got the supply.
Yeah.
So people waiting at home lovingly still matter to them, you know. I can take you through one more thing.
Okay.
Um, People with ADHD, they find it difficult to follow instructions.
Yeah.
Narcissistic people, they feel so entitled that anybody else's instructions seem a bit invalid. So they're feeling entitled. They just don't want to follow instructions. Um, but narcissistic people also have a tendency to be very, what do you call it? It comes across like spontaneity, but it's not spontaneity. It's, what's the word? Impulsive.
Oh, okay.
Impulsivity comes
Mhm.
across spontaneous, but they're impulsive.
Yeah.
They're not spontaneous. Spontaneity has something beautiful to it. You just make a decision, do things there and there, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's like, spontaneity is like wholehearted living, whereas narcissistic people are so insecure, so they're
Yeah.
impulsive, but they're not spontaneous. So those are kind of little things.
Wow. There's a lot there. There's a lot. I'm glad that you made that connection between the behaviors, the ADHD
Yeah.
challenges and behaviors, and the link to a narcissist. That's really useful. And I'll actually find a way to try and make that a bit more visual for people, because there are
Yeah.
lots of people with ADHD who are more
Yeah.
visual. So let's wind this down, because there's still so much to talk about, but we haven't got a lot of time, and I don't want to make this video too long so that people won't watch it all. But if you were going to give 5 tips, okay, what 5 tips would you give to somebody if they realize that they're maybe living with a narcissist?
If they're living with a narcissist, I don't know if I can give you 5 tips, but I can tell you 4 things.
Okay.
Okay. I
All
can tell
right.
you 4 things. It's really, really important, fundamental 4 things. Whether
Okay.
you're living or whether you're dealing with a close proximity,
Yeah.
then ignore the blame and accusations
Right.
coming from you. So don't personalize it,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
You have to live in your own reality.
Yeah.
Second is to remember is that they will never change. Sometimes we tend to love more, do more, change more, thinking that they would change, their behavior will change,
Yeah.
but that never happens. So
Okay.
be you,
Yeah.
they will never change.
Right.
Third one is to don't fall for the honeymoon period. So something that there's like this vicious cycle is they love bomb you and they devalue you, right?
Mm.
And then if you challenge, then they will hoover you back in with their seductiveness, gift giving or whatever it is. There's a cycle. Just don't fall for that.
Mm.
Okay, it doesn't mean that they've changed. It just means that the cycle is continuing.
Right.
Fourth one is to just really embrace your emotions. Take care of yourself. And self-care is so,
Mm.
so, so important, because you're going to be so tired, exhausted, possibly going through depression and anxiety, because this is an exhausting experience. So your chemicals
Mm.
are going to be all over the place, and so you won't have energy when you're dealing with a narcissist. So
Okay.
take care of yourself.
Thank you. That's really useful. That's really helpful, I think, for people to think about in terms of if they realize that they're living with a narcissist. So how can people contact you, Nasanka?
Well, they can go on to, thank you. So they can go onto my website, www.coachingwithnasanka.com. I've got a workshop coming up on the 7th of December about co-parenting with the narcissistic partner 101. It's 90 minutes workshop.
Okay.
But they can go onto my website and all the information that's there. So
okay.
They can register.
I'll post the details into the group, people so people can see that as well. Yeah. Is there a final message that you'd like to share about narcissism and ADHD? What would you say? What would your final message be?
Okay, so the final message is like, just recognize abuse for what it is. It's not, good days are not for you to be grateful for. Good days are carefully manufactured by them to hoover you back in, keep you in the cycle. So abuse, recognize abuse for what it is, right? Seek therapy for you so that you can live your life despite what's happening around you. Find a therapist or a coach, I am both of them, who understands the scope and the landscape of narcissism, because this is not for everyone to work with. Most therapists, most coaches will dig you, send you down that route of, have you found a way to communicate? Have you found a way to leave a message? Have you found a way to go on a date and get this right? That shit doesn't work.
Okay. Right? All right.
Pardon my language. So find a person who understands this, and then really, really know who you are. So when they shift the blame, you can just go, you can tell whatever you want, this is not me.
Right.
But sending you lots of love if you're in that situation. I know it's difficult.
Thank you so much, Nasanka.
No worries.
That's been brilliant.